Why should we not be scared of rejection? Why should we actually welcome rejection? In our heads, it doesn't make sense because I think naturally, instinctively, we see rejection as us being bad, us not being good enough. And it's very easy to fall into this trap that your ego gets hurt if someone rejects you or a job or anything like that. But I'm here to argue why you should welcome it. Smile when you get rejected. And this is a breakthrough that I had recently. It's about living within your authentic self, right? I think it's simple. If you are living within your true authentic self of who you are and you get rejected by someone, that means you're out of alignment with that person or that thing or that job or whatever it may be. That's all it is. You're out of alignment. Or you weren't being authentically yourself. I think the trap we often fall into is that we change our behavior to try and fit someone else's mold. For example, with dating. Something I've realized is that there are sometimes certain behaviors that will attract certain women more. But sometimes those behaviors don't align with my values or what I truly authentically feel if I had no fear or insecurity at the time. And this is the key, because if there is a weakness behind it, that's not your authentic true self. But make sure you don't get weakness confused with vulnerability. The difficulty is that when you get hit a few times by rejection, it's not easy because it's emotional. In the process of being able to take rejection, you will get hit. Emotionally, it will hurt. But again, we can't let our emotions dictate us. So there's two options. You can either become numb to emotions, and especially with men, I see this. The safety mechanism is to shove them deep down and avoid them. And to be fair, that can work to an extent. But in my opinion, you're actually missing out on the human experience. We should feel the full range of our emotions. We shouldn't avoid them. But it's about feeling those emotions while staying true to your values. What do you value? What's important to you? These are the questions that only you can answer. If you don't value certain tactics, if it doesn't feel authentic and true to you and it comes from a place of insecurity, then you should avoid them. This doesn't mean you should avoid discomfort. This is where the real trick is. This is something that I've come across. I felt uncomfortable in certain situations, and it's discerning, is that discomfort something that I should lean into and get on with it, feel the emotion and carry forward? Or is that discomfort, that uncomfortable emotion, sometimes a warning? Something you should stay away from, something you shouldn't do, because there must be value to our emotions. Surely. Because otherwise we wouldn't have them. But when are they working for you, and when are they working against you? It really comes down to, what kind of person do you want to be? Who do you envision yourself as if there was no limits? Who is your highest self? Who is your best self? Think about that. Once you know the values of that person, you can start to align your actions with what they would do. And when you master this, everything will work in a state of flow. When you truly become your true authentic self, life is just flow. But to get there, you have to kill the behaviors and beliefs that are not aligned with your true highest form of yourself, who you want to be. Your identity has to be transformed. And that's the uncomfortable part. And often, what makes these things uncomfortable or scary is potentially previous life experiences where you have been hurt. where you have felt emotional pain, especially as a child or when you're younger. Something hurt you. You got hurt. It's okay. You basically have to relive these experiences once again and show your mind that you are safe. That nothing's going to happen. Because yes, that action in the past, when you did it, might have been at the wrong time, might have been to the wrong person, and it was wrong at the time, potentially. Or it just wasn't the right thing at the time. And then you learn that maybe you should never do that. That's how your mind is keeping you safe. But that's also what keeps you in a box. If you stay with that survival mechanism in your brain, you are going to be extremely limited. You are not going to be able to reach the highest version of yourself. The only choice is to confront it. This is not a quick process. Don't be hard on yourself that you can't be that person right now, instantly. It's something to aspire to. It's something to take steps towards. Small steps. But it's good to push yourself. But if you find like it's getting to a point where you're being hit too much and emotionally it's draining, stop. It's okay. This is like you going to the gym. You're increasing the amount of resistance you can take. And remember, this resistance comes from you being hurt in the past. This can come from doing this action or something similar to it, a belief that someone else has transferred to you and you emotionally connected to it, or others have passed their trauma onto you. You've got to show your mind that you're safe. And when you really have these breakthroughs is when you actually accept the pain. You don't avoid it. And to do this healthily, you should do it slowly. Build it up. And this is where we're getting back onto the rejection. There'll be a point where you're out of alignment again to the person, the situation, or whatever it is going on, and your body will react. And if you can just feel it and be like, okay, this is interesting, but with a new conscious understanding that this is only because you're out of alignment with this personal situation, and you can just breathe. Like, okay, I didn't die. It's not because I'm a bad person. It's possible that you're not ready at that point to take on that step. If you're at the level where you are worthy, for example, your qualities as a person are good enough, or the level of competency is at a high enough level and you're living in your authentic state, you will attract the right people to work with you, or to be friends with, or to be in relationships with, whatever the situation. But there are often times that you will repel situations that on the surface level you are competent enough for, but you're out of alignment. You don't synergize values-wise or energetically. So that's why you don't need to worry about that pain. And then eventually, you can even smile at it. You can be grateful because you know it just wasn't the right time for it. It wasn't the right thing, it wasn't the right person, it wasn't the right place. And it's okay. But there's another side of the coin of this, and this is the paradox. The more you live in this energy and frequency where you feel so comfortable in yourself, and you know this and you're approaching situations without this fear, your most authentic true self will start to shine through more and more. Because you're not coming from a place of scarcity, fear, or neediness. Because you don't need the thing that you're going after or that you want or that you're approaching for validation. And when that happens, the chances are your success rate will actually increase for making connections, because people will be drawn to you and they will feel this authenticity and they will feel something different. And that is how you will find people who have great amounts of success in areas of their life. It's when they're acting through that energy. But the problem is, on the exterior, there are also a lot of people who are successful. On the exterior, let me be clear. Like, they might be able to get with loads of women, make lots of money, anything like that. But actually, they're trapped in a system which is not truly them, and they don't feel happy or truly satisfied with their lives. They've been tricked. Because what they're doing, essentially, is that they've worked out tactics to manipulate people. Because they need validation that what they're doing is the right thing. And that is where you end up, just chasing a cycle that never ends. And it's a negative cycle. And I think it can often be depressing, because the further you go down, the more unsatisfied you feel. After all, you're gaining more and more of the worldly things that you desired, but they're not fulfilling you. Because in life, what fulfills you is not achieving these things. It's being the truest form of you. And then allowing these things, desires, to come to you. That is success. Because if you gain all the things you want, while sacrificing who you are and your values, then what's the point? How can you be satisfied with your life? How can you look at your life and go, yeah, that was all worth doing. I've lived my life through a mask to create all this external reality, but inside, it destroyed me.